My brother mocked me for being the accident baby, so I made our parents wish they'd made more mistakes. Growing up, Robert never missed a chance to remind me I wasn't planned. Every sibling fight ended the same way. At least mom and dad actually wanted me from the start, instead of having to figure out what to do with a broken condom, baby. It stung every single time. Our parents loved me. I knew that. But Robert's words planted seeds of doubt. Was I really wanted, or was I just something they learned to live with? When I was 16, something shifted. I overheard mom and dad talking about how they wished they knew more about our family history, especially after grandma died without sharing her stories. Mom sighed and said, I wish we'd asked more questions. There's so much we'll never know now. That's when I got my idea. I started researching our genealogy in secret. Every night after homework, I'd use ancestry websites with headphones on. I found distant relatives online and told my parents the money was for school supplies. I visited libraries to read microfilm until my eyes ached. Even started interviewing elderly neighbors who knew our grandparents during weekends when everyone was out. Meanwhile, Robert was riding high on his promotion to assistant manager at Dick's Sporting Goods. You'd think he'd been named CEO of Nike the way he talked about it. He'd constantly bring up his direct reports and his KP is, wearing his name tag to family dinners like it was a medal of honor. He'd make snide comments like, some people are leadership material, others just follow, always looking right at me when he said it. What made it worse was that our parents seemed genuinely proud of Robert's position too. They'd ask him about inventory strategies and sales projections, treating him like he was this business prodigy climbing the corporate ladder. Robert would lecture about quarterly goals and team building initiatives, while I sat there feeling like some directionless kid who'd never amount to anything. The perfect opportunity came during Robert's girlfriend Ashley's birthday party at our house. He'd invited her parents, who owned 3 successful hardware stores in the next state. He wanted to show off his retail expertise to potential future in-laws and all our relatives. But when Ashley's parents arrived, everything went sideways. They started asking Robert about actual business operations, profit margins, supply chain management. Robert kept throwing around buzzwords he'd learned from YouTube videos about management, but it was clear he was just a 24-year-old who supervised part-timers selling sneakers. Ashley's father, who'd built his business from nothing, kept politely nodding, but you could see him trying not to laugh when Robert talked about his revolutionary approach to athletic footwear sales. Ashley just stood there looking embarrassed, probably realizing her boyfriend's executive experience was mostly checking that teenagers folded t-shirts correctly. She kept shooting me these looks like somehow this was my fault for existing in the same space. Robert was sweating, trying to impress them by talking about the time he increased baseball glove sales by 12%, like he'd solved world hunger. That's when I took a deep breath and walked over to Dad's study. I have something to show everyone, I said, returning with a leather-bound book I'd been working on for 2 years. Before we celebrate Ashley's birthday, I said, I thought I'd share a gift for our whole family. Everyone gathered around as I opened it. The first page showed our complete family tree going back 7 generations. Ashley's parents' faces completely transformed. Their eyes lit up with genuine interest. This is remarkable, Ashley's mother said excitedly. For the next hour, I walked everyone through our family history. I showed them ship manifests from Ellis Island, photos I'd found of our great-great-grandfather who'd opened the first grocery store in our town, letters from relatives during the Depression talking about how they survived. I'd found our grandmother's naturalization papers, tracked down Dad's uncle who everyone thought had died in Korea, but actually came home and lived in Oregon. Our entire family gathered around in amazement. My parents looked like they were witnessing a miracle. How long have you been working on this? Dad asked, his voice full of wonder. 2 years, I said. I wanted it to be a surprise. Ashley's father put his hand on my shoulder and told our parents, this young man understands what really matters. Family, history, legacy. That's worth more than any job title. I saw tears forming in Mom's eyes. We had no idea you were working so hard on this. Later that evening, after most guests had left, I was cleaning up in the kitchen when I overheard Dad talking to Uncle Mike by the back door. You know what's incredible about having an unplanned child? Dad was saying. You think you've got your life mapped out, but then this surprise comes along and shows you what really matters. Our accident just gave us back generations of family we thought we'd lost. I peeked through the window and saw Robert standing alone by the fence, having heard the whole conversation. For once in his life, he had nothing to say. The next morning at breakfast, he was unusually quiet. Finally, he looked at me and said, I didn't know you were researching our family. There's a lot you don't know about me. I replied. Not mean, just honest. He nodded slowly. I can see that now. That was the last time Robert ever made a comment about me being an accident.